All right, everybody, we have another exciting fireside chat today with OpenSpace and Carlton Electric. I'm really excited to get the opportunity to speak with these guys today. They have been working closely with Alex Brown, one of our account executives, over the past year, and I've heard nothing but exciting things about this group. So I want to kick it off with allowing them to give an introduction of who they are and who Carlton Electric is. Dustin, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I'll go and get started. Dustin Weller, I'm the Director of Field Operations here at Carlton Electric. Carlton is a mid-sized company, probably about 100 employees. We've been around about 30 years. 2020, we are under new ownership, and it's the old ownership's son, and the past president took ownership of the company. And with that, they decided to revamp pretty much all the processes and procedures we've had in place for the last 26 years, and including the new technology, OpenSpace being a big part of that. We've also got, a lot of upgrades to our computer systems and softwares and such. But yeah, just really dynamic company in the last three and a half years here.
Nice. That's really exciting. Jed, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm a project foreman, superintendent for Carlton, and so I do a wide variety of projects, and usually have around 10 to 15 people that I oversee on a job. So kind of the larger jobs that we do. I've been working with Carlton Electric for 12 years now, so I've been able to be part of the changes and stuff that we've had as far as improving all of our processes and our use of technology and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been exciting.
Nice. I love it. And then Shayne.
I am a senior project manager at Carlton. I've been with Carlton for 5.5 years. Been in the industry for a lot longer than that. You can tell by my gray hair. Technology has been a challenge for me the last 10 years of my career, but a good challenge. This OpenSpace is, at least for the project management team, it gives a greater opportunity to see the progress on a job weekly without having to constantly drive out to the site. So it's been a great benefit.
I love that. So new ownership. What are some of the big priorities through this kind of transition that you guys have been going through with the new ownership? You mentioned technology. What has that been looking like? What are some of the technologies that excite you as you guys have been rolling through this new transition?
Yeah, so really OpenSpace is a big one of those. The Bluebeam Studio is something that we've always used, and Bluebeam in general, but really digging deep into all the things that Bluebeam can do. And I'm not even sure how deep I've gone. The thing is pretty amazing, right? And then we just revamped all of our accounting software. We got Spectrum. It's a Trimble product, I believe, but that was a big one. We've got manpower management app that ties directly into that we just launched. And really, it's all about communication and making everything more simple for the field. Luckily for Shayne and I, it makes our jobs easier too. But it's really about taking care of the foreman and the guys in the field there. I know that we've tried a whole bunch of different things going through this, and some of it's stuck and some of it hasn't.
Yeah. And one of the things OpenSpace is always focused on is how can we make this tool very, very user-friendly in the field. Can you, and actually Shayne, you made a point. You mentioned, you've struggled with technology up until, 10 years ago. Tell us about your experience with OpenSpace and has it helped bridge that gap with the office and the field? And can you tell us a little bit about that experience as well?
Yeah, I think, most of my career I've worked with small contractors or done work for companies that were smaller in scope. So as a single person, I wore more hats. I was out in the field a lot, doing some training, checking up on the job, ordering material, doing little things like that. But with Carlton and how they've expanded since I've started working for them, I pretty much have a single role now as a senior project manager. And with meetings and thousands of emails and, directing 4 other people, there's not a lot of time in a week for me to visit job sites. In the past, it was 3 or 4 job sites I was, had to worry about at one time. And now it's upwards of 10, 12 at any given time. So make a job site visit once a week, that takes up, 30 hours of my week. So it's just not possible to sustain that. So then when you lose touch with what's going on in the field, you kind of lose touch with your job, and it gets back to the old way of doing things where it's a little chaotic. Guys are doing stuff on their own without instruction from the office or vice versa. And, it just makes it more efficient for everybody. And bottom line is it makes it more efficient for Carlton Electric, which the more efficient and profitable Carlton Electric can be, the more it benefits all the employees. So in that aspect, I just get notifications that, this open space walk is complete. And I can go in there and view it at my leisure. A lot of times when I'm doing my billings or getting ready to do my billings, I can go back through the open space, see what's completed, what's not completed. So it just saves a lot of time. It's just another form of communication where you don't have to spend 2 hours driving to and from the job site, spend an hour or 2 on the job site to get a feel for, the progress that's been made since last month, and, what materials we have on site, which ones we don't, that sort of thing. So, many, many benefits of seeing that. And one thing we just ran into is we completed a job. The owner wanted us to do some extra work. We had a new department of the company, our service department, kind of take over the job. There was spare conduits stubbed out of the building, that for future use out on the site. We just went to open space, located those conduits, knew exactly where they were. We didn't have to have, a guy digging around the outside of the building for hours trying to find it. So, and it ended up being on the as-built on our drawings. The measurement was wrong from where it actually was, but by looking at open space, we knew we could tell exactly where it was. So that, one small benefit, we get a lot of other benefit from it, but that's just an example.
I love that story. It's we hear that often, right? The ability to quickly find a piece of information, and it's really taken for granted with the traditional method of just taking the photo with your phone, because you have the photos, right? But like the traditional method, they're not timestamped or located. And there was a guy who was telling me that similar scenario that you dealt with, but he said, I took the entire weekend to find one photo. He found it and it saved them, but it took him the entire weekend. And so it's exciting to hear kind of these little soft costs of time saved, and how you're able, you're overseeing 12 sites, and we're not looking to, remove people from the field, but just make your ability to be in the field much more efficient. And then Jed, I want to ask, because you're in the field as the project foreman and the super, how has it been like for your team who's in the field to adopt open space and actually be the ones taking the capture? What has that experience been like?
Pretty easy. It's so easy. I've shown a couple of apprentices how to go out and do a capture, and it takes like less than 5 minutes to show them how to do it, and they go walk the job site. And a lot of times I like to do it myself, because I like to kind of take notes as I go. I forget what the tool is called, but it's like an observation. basically, but where as you're walking, you can take a picture and kind of make an observation.
The field name?
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
I like doing that myself because then I see stuff as I'm walking the whole job. I see like a loose end that we never got wrapped up, or some trade damage that happened or something like that. And so I can make notes of those and to come back to later. But yeah, it's pretty easy to teach somebody how to go out and do a capture. And I think anybody that knows how to use a smartphone, it's really intuitive. So
Yeah, I love
and,
that you're using the field notes. That's probably one of my favorite tools, just for the ability to be able to document much more efficiently. You could use that field note report, the field notes, for so many different things.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's really easy to use for sure. Yeah, I
Nice.
never have had any issues like getting it to upload or anything like that, as long as I have good internet stuff.
I love it. And then Dustin, where do you find yourself most using OpenSpace? What part of it?
You know what? I'm out doing captures a lot. I don't really dig back into the photos and reuse them, but I do captures on jobs a lot. Also, we've set up our pre-con department to go and do captures on job walks. So when we come back and we're trying to bid that job, taking a look at it, it gives us a lot more information than we had just trying to remember, or like you said, taking a bunch of pictures and trying to figure out what the heck those go and what order they're supposed to be in and that kind of stuff. So pre-con is a huge part of it. And then just getting that information, back and forth is really where I'm at. I don't personally use the information a whole lot, but I help do a lot of the captures.
Can you tell us more about the pre-con process? I always find that one really interesting. It's not necessarily a process that comes up early on when someone's evaluating open space, but once they're kind of in it and they're seeing it and they're using it, they see that value, and then they'll, like you guys are doing, looping in your pre-con team. So can you tell the audience we have today how you're using it for pre-con and what that process looks like?
Well, we have our pre-con manager, and then we've got our CEO that are both really involved in the bidding process before jobs. But just like Shayne, they don't have a whole lot of time to go out and be walking jobs. So we can send out somebody with the open space. They don't necessarily even have to know what they're looking at. They just go out on the walk, get the pictures, take some notes about the job, and then we'll come back and they share it with either the pre-con manager or the CEO or both, whoever is actually going to be bidding the job, so that they can get their eyes on it without having to spend their time to go out to the job walks.
What's the experience like, or what's the feedback from the GC when do you bring these captures to the bidding process to present to the general contractor of what you're seeing, and what's their reaction?
I can't answer that. I don't believe we have taken them back to the GC when we're submitting our proposal, but I'm not involved in that end of the company, so I don't know.
Gotcha. So Alex Brown, y'all's account executive, wanted me to bring up a story that he found that he loved to share here at OpenSpace. I don't know if it was one of you gentlemen, but he said one of the most interesting use cases when someone got injured and they were able to essentially still work by not even being on site. I don't know if that was one of you, but if you're familiar with the story, can you share like what happened? Because I know Alex loves that use case, and it's a use case we're actually starting to see more and more, with injuries being a common thing, and especially for members who have to be in the field, it allows them to still continue their work. So I'd love for you guys to share that story.
I don't know about it.
Shayne, talking about your
I'm guessing that was you. Yeah, tell us what happened.
I was on an archery hunt in the backcountry, and I broke my ankle. So got a flight for life ride out, and had a couple surgeries, and had to work from home for months. So that was another. I just used it like I would in the office, kind of just I couldn't visit job sites because I couldn't walk for a long time. And so that was part of my spiel before that, one thing, it saves my team time, precious time from having to drive out to job sites and back. But it really helped me when I was working from home for 6 months to be able to keep up with the progression of the jobs and that sort of stuff. So
You still feel like you were able to get everything done, even
Yeah.
while being home?
Yep. Yeah, it was kind of like an extension of COVID time, where everybody was working from home. But I mean, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I don't know if it might not have been something I would have dove into as quickly. But because I already had the experience of that, being able to do things remotely and doing more things remotely. But yeah, definitely helped me keep up with what's going on the job sites for sure.
Yeah. Well, I hope your ankle's feeling better.
Yeah, it's all healed up.
Good. Good. How has OpenSpace, have you felt like it's improved conversations on site, not only internally with y'all's team, but with other subcontractors in the GC as well? Like, what has that been like?
Yeah, I'd say like on this job here, we've had a few cases where we shared with the general contractor what we're doing, because everybody, when you're walking around with a camera in your head, everybody asks what's going on. They really like the idea. They're thinking about doing it themselves. But there's been a few cases where they've actually come to us and been like, hey, can you look back and see if this pipe that got roughed in here? I don't remember exactly what it was, or I think there was some steel issues with the crawl space, and they wanted to go back and see what it was looking like. So they're really happy that we're doing it on the job, and I think they're gonna probably start doing it. They're one of their guys that's kind of in charge of their technology came and checked out, talked to us about it and checked out what we were doing. And so, yeah, it's everybody is it seems like they're a little skeptical at first, like they're just thinking that you're just trying to get proof of them doing something wrong or whatever. But then once they come across something where they need, or where they'd like to, look back and see how where something was placed in a wall, or if there was backing put in for a TV in this location or whatever, they're glad to come and check it out with you. So
I love that.
yeah.
We were talking with a group the other day, and I was like, please make sure nobody else on my project you sell to any other group but us, because I get to lead every single conversation and it makes me feel so powerful. He's like, please, this is my project, this is the address, make sure nobody else gets it. But he was like, yeah, I mean, he's like, the way he said it, kind of like how you're saying, is like we hold kind of like the answers everybody needs in a weekly meeting, where like even other trades have been coming to him, for help and decision making. It's pretty interesting to see, and it's exciting as well. You guys are on the forefront of that kind of push on using technology, so, and leading conversations. One of the exciting things that you guys have done as an electrical group is adopted Track, which is our automated progress tracking tool, kind of a separate tool from what we've been talking about, which is what we call Capture for our audience who's listening today. Tell us about Track, because when you adopted it, at the time we only had it was kind of in its infancy phase, where Track was really only tracking electrical receptacles. But what I've heard is you guys were able to actually find some incredible value from it, and I'd love for you guys to share that for the audience today.
Yeah, it has been great. There's been for those that don't know, basically what it does is track as you walk the job site. basically we give OpenSpace a print of where all our receptacles are supposed to go, or switches or data, anything that we want to track. We only really use it for wall rough. I understand like they're working on doing some kind of ceiling rough and stuff like that too. But for wall rough, as you walk through it, and after you upload, then like within a few hours or maybe a day later, you can go back online and see any devices in the building and see if they've been roughed in, or I think they have roughed in, wired, and then trimmed as the 3 stages. For this job, we use mostly MC. So rough in and wired is kind of the same thing. So we didn't really test that. The difference, I think the difference there would be if you're doing a conduit job like a hospital or certain government buildings where you have all conduit. It might be able to tell you if you have wire pulled to those devices after you run your conduit and boxed out. But so yeah, we had a few cases where it caught that we had missed a box on a rough in. So it like gives you, it like highlights any devices that aren't roughed in yet. And if you know that that area should be all roughed in, it's really easy to just click on the view location button, and then it just shows you that location. And then you can verify, because there was a couple times where it said that we missed it, but it was because we had to shift that outlet because there was going to be like a whiteboard there or something like that. So it was different than what the prints showed, but we knew that that one had to shift anyway. But there was definitely a few cases where we missed a rough in box. And so that saved us a whole bunch of time of having to go back later. If we didn't realize it till after the sheetrock was up and finished and painted, then we'd have to go back in and rough it in later and possibly cause other trade damage and get back charges and all kinds of stuff like that. So that was pretty awesome to, even if it only saved, I think there's probably only like 4 devices on this job, but that probably saved like 30 hours of work. So that was really cool.
Wow, that's huge and very exciting. That's typically what we hear right now with a lot of track, just the sheer amount of time saved from the traditional approach of walking around on site, highlighting what's been installed and having to continually walk and verify and check, where with OpenSpace, you're really not breaking your process of capturing, which is, tossing the camera on your head and just walking around. It automatically captures that information. Dustin, can you tell the audience about your experience from using track and what that was like from your end?
So really, Jed covered it. Jed did most of the track. That's the only project we've used it on to date. And he was in charge of all of that. But like he said, those couple missing devices, not getting the phone call, whether it be Shayne or myself or whatever, when we got to go cut open that wall, that's worth it right there to me. I mean, you got the money, you got the time, you got all the effort that goes into it, but we've got a happy customer too at the end of the day, right? So with us making sure that the stuff is installed right the first time, because it's telling us that saves a lot of pain on the back end. Yeah,
it's really about being proactive, and it sounds like OpenSpace has really helped with that. And it's no, these stories have been great. And Shayne, I'm glad to hear the ankle is healed and you're back at it. But yeah, guys, that's what I had. It's the questions I have for you today. I really appreciate you taking the time. Alex wasn't kidding. You guys are a great group. And no, this is a partnership we really value, and we want to thank you for taking the time today to share it.
All right, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, guys. All right, y'all take care.
Thanks.
Thanks.